Morning, guys. Larry here. Bob's Fitness, getting in a chest and back session today. Reason I hadn't been able to get into the gym is because I felt a little bit under the weather. Still feel a little under the weather, but I'm well enough to work and train. So my rule is if you're well enough to work, you're well enough to train. So with that being said, chest and back, super. I like supersets for chest and back. I really do. But sometimes I like straight sets. So instead of trying to get a big time cardio effect this morning, I'm going to keep everything straight set, but with relatively low rest. And I'm going to work within a rep range of around 8 to 15. So I don't want to really go below 8 because that means the load is too heavy. I'm not getting what I want out of it. But I'm not going to go super light where I get 20 plus reps unless I pick something and just go balls out on it, like a dumbbell press or something like that. So the things you need to remember when you're constructing a program like this is that you want to make sure that you're doing the biggest bang for your buck movements, right? So today, I know I touched on it last time. I don't like bench pressing. For time purposes, I'll probably bench today, or there's actually a hammer strength bench press machine that I'll use. So you want to pick the biggest bang for your buck exercises, right? And that's where we're going to work in the 8 to 15 rep range on. Now, when we get to the isolation stuff, I may break my own, or I may contradict myself a little bit. I may work in a bit of a higher rep range, but that has yet to be seen. We're going to go through the workout, get a really strong pump going, and then go from there. So I'm going to straight set this workout. So it's going to go chest, back, then back to chest, then back to back. And we're going to keep it relatively low instead of just bouncing around like a fucking bunny rabbit throughout the session. So let's get to work. Get a strong pump going. Let's get home. Not a whole lot of shitty roads today. It was an ice storm last night. Well, not really an ice storm, but enough to ice over the road. So I was able to actually get here in a pretty decent amount of time. I drove carefully. My wife will be happy about that. And, life is good right now, even though I'm tired as dog shit. So let's go. All right, I think we're just going to bench today. Elite FTS rack, something that I'm used to from training at Quad's gym in Chicago. Excellent gym if you get a chance. But this is what we're working with today. We're in the powerlifting room, as you can see. So let's get it cracking. Okay, at this point, it is now Saturday, and I wasn't able to get this out on Thursday, so I do apologize. So it is a little bit dated. This was a Thursday chest and back session at Bob's Fitness. So didn't feel like kicking up any dumbbells and went ahead and started off with the barbell bench press. From my old powerlifting days, I recommend everyone just warm up with the bar, get you some double digit reps in, around about 25, 30, 35, 40, something like that. Something to get get acclimated to the movement. Then moving on, I start out with 25s because this is my first movement, and I go from there, and then I just progress up. Now, a couple of key things about the bench press is that when you're doing bench, I tuck my elbows when I'm benching, and that way I'm able to put a little bit more tricep in there. I really focus on squeezing the bar. And if you notice throughout the movement, I'm keeping my wrists straight. I'm not letting them lean back. So with that being said, that's a pretty good technique that you want to be able to institute into your benches, is keeping your wrists straight. So with the bench, I'm not the biggest fan of using it for mass building. A lot of people know that. But for today, with the time constraint that I did have and missing a day, bench was absolutely a perfect choice to do it. So again, tucking the elbows, keeping the wrist straight, making sure that kinetic chain stays intact. Obviously, as weights go up, that gets a little bit more difficult, but I advise you all to keep that technique with your bench, and it'll actually shoot up because the bench is a total body lift. All right. Moving on, hitting up some back. So again, these were done straight set style, no supersets as I didn't want to tire out. So the Arsenal Strength, the difference between this and the Nebula one is that it is on a slight ramp, and it pitches you forward a little bit more than the Nebula one that you see in Iron Heaven that I use a lot. So 3 plates and a 25, that's actually a pretty it's a pretty decent amount of weight. Actually, anything over 3 plates is a pretty decent amount of weight. You can equate damn near 5 plates on a Nebula bent over row to 3 plates and a 25 with this Nebula setup or Arsenal Strength setup right here. So again, I'm just trying to work within the same plane as my push. So I'm trying to pull in that same plane that I pushed in. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that. Sometimes it does. But when you're doing antagonistic supersets or any type of work that's opposite of each other, it probably helps to work in that same plane. That's just something that I've kind of picked up. Don't have any scientific backing to it, so forgive me for that. So moving on, hitting up the hammer incline press, and the goal here was not to drop below 8 reps. So starting out at 3 plates, making sure I get full extension and making sure I just push really hard on these sets. They were incredibly difficult. And once I got to the later sets, that's when things started getting a little bit wonky. I only recorded 1 set, blame it on my head, not my heart. So sorry about that. Then moved on to upper back rows with Thompson fat bells and the Elite FTS prone bench. I've really come to enjoy using this bench and, using the fat bells as well for a little bit better range of motion. On back work, I want you all to remember it's elbow positioning. So my elbows are going out into the side. That means I'm trying to hit the upper back rhomboid trap area. We're getting some rear delts in there as well. So always remember that elbow positioning is absolute key when it comes to back training. And moving back to chest, hitting up the prime row, not prime row, I'm sorry, the prime fly. And the unique thing about this is that you can vary the resistance curve. Now, I use the middle end range because flies are a squeezing movement and you get the most out of the end range. Now, you can emphasize it to where you get the stretch. You can put the load on the stretch portion of the exercise, but I didn't want that. I wanted it to be in the contracted position. But notice when you have a machine like this, you can always vary the resistance curve. All right. Now, as far as set performance goes, I want you to notice how I'm keeping my elbows bent and I'm just using my hands to just push. And I'm really making sure that I squeeze my chest at the top of the movement. All right. Contraction was utmost important for this movement. And it's something that I always emphasize to people when they're doing flies is to focus on the contraction and then take a couple of sets to focus on the stretch. Then moved on to finish out with some lat pull downs. Now, it looks like I'm doing an excessive amount of swaying, but I want to assure you, when you have been doing this for as long as I have, the little bit of body English that you do have, you just keep it one fluid motion. And believe it or not, this is catching a lot of the lat. It's catching the upper back a lot, but it's catching a lot of the lat. So I don't believe in staying robotic and in one place for my entire movement when it comes to this. And also it was at the end of the workout, so the form was a little bit looser. So I want everyone to keep in mind that bodybuilding is an art, and the way that you do lat pull downs or the way you do any exercise really depends on the way that you're trying to hit the muscle. Again, I was trying to hit the upper back and lat, and it's still catching lat even with the swaying. Okay, all done. Hip a little bit on fire because I don't know, I think I slept on it wrong. The joys of getting older. In any event, that was chest and back, straight setted. Obviously, if you want to save on time, superset what I just did. It'll cut the time by about 50% because I was in here for a little bit, took my normal rest periods, tried to move as fast as I could, but just wasn't happening. So finally done. 24 sets in the books, and now we're gonna go home, feed the muscle, rest, recover, get ready for work, and do some good work. So guys, like, subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the views I'm getting. They're actually, one creeped up into the 200 range, and now I'm back down into the 20. But I appreciate everyone that's watching. Hopefully you're getting some from these videos. If you're not, please let me know. Let me know what I can bring to you guys, and I'll be more than happy to bring it to you. So until then, y'all have a great day. Stay safe out on these roads if you live in the Midwest, and have a great Thursday.